Hello everyone and welcome to deck review. One of the things I seen from you guys is that you are really pumped up to see the new stuff and the new things and the new units and even more so the new nations. So what we are going to do is in this particular video we are going to enter a creation deck. We are going to select a bonus and we are going to do a China deck review. We are not going to build a deck, but we are going to review the units that you can use in the deck building process. Now, of course going to do an overview of all the different categories, but I'm not going to stop one by one in saying, well, this unit is this unit is that. I'm going to do a very brief review on what I see and some of my thoughts, but you will be able to see the veterancy, the availability of those cards, and the stats of the units by yourself. So yeah, that's because there are a lot of units, and this would be a very long video if I stopped to give an in-depth review of all of the units. Also, I'm not going to touch the marine section. Why? Well, the marine section has some amphibious units, which are mostly the Chinese amphibious units. This is a national Chinese deck, so you get only to see the Chinese units. However, the ships, which is the interesting part of the marine section, the ships and the planes and the helicopters, are up for. I mean, they are labeled as packed. They are available for all the different decks from all different nations. So what I will do is to cover those in a special video with focuses not on the amphibious units, which are you are going to see in the other tabs, but on the ships, helicopters, etc., and airplanes, of course, which are general for all the nations. Okay, so let's start with logistics. Logistics, we have a standard jeep, even more fast jeep with amphibious ability. Those are common vehicles. A common helicopter, which is a Chinese version of the Mi-4. And then we have the infantry. One of the things in this game is that, and this is different for WarGame Metal Battle, you have actually not just common vehicles, but you have common infantry. Units of 5, very small, standard infantry qualities, but they are able to take command zones, and they come in different transports. In this case, in a more or less standard truck, in an APC, in a different in a helicopter, sorry, in an Mi-4, and in an Mi-8T. So this is yet another way to capture zones. Next we have an APC common vehicle and a tank common vehicle. This is a Type 59. They have the FOB, which is pretty much common to most of the nations. A huge Mi-6 as helicopter logistics. Look at that, 3,400 liters. Wow, that's a lot, and very fast as well, but very big. This is going to attract a lot of attention, but if you need a lot of supplies in a pinch, also you get 4 of them per card, which is quite a lot. And in the end, the standard supply trucks with 8 per card, 800 liters, pretty much a standard supply unit. So those are the logistic units for the Chinese. Let's see the infantry. Now the infantry, we start with the flamethrowers, which I hate. They are OP, but whatever. They are here. And this is the unit. You can see the stats here, the availability, and the veterancy. And they come in an APC, yet another APC version, stronger armed APC, and this is basically a Chinese version of the Soviet BMP-1 with a Malyutka and ATGM. So yeah, those are the options for this. Next you have manpads, and this is interesting because Chinese actually get, you're going to see that, Hold on a second. If I don't forget. The Chinese actually get three different kind of manpads, so we are going to take a look at them. Uh, I'm not going to say the names because, well, the Hongjing 5A, this is easy to say, the Hongjing 5B, and the Qianwei 1. Now you will see the difference between them, between the 5A and the 5B. One has a lot more accuracy than the other one. I think this is a Chinese version of the Soviet Igla, but don't quote me on that. Or the Strela, not sure. Oh, the 5B also has a longer range. And then you have the Quanwei 1, which is a heck of a manpad, actually. Um, much bigger accuracy, much bigger range, higher high chi power. This is a very, very, very good AA missile. Of course, with this comes is in three different flavors, so you can put in a Cat C deck, Cat B deck, or Cat A deck. The transport is the same between them. APC, different APC, APC with better weapons, and the BMP. So those are the manpads. Now let's see the infantry. And rifle, where's the rifle? Excuse me if I take a while to look at this, but well, roll. There you go. Infantry rifle. Let's see the rifles. First, let's start with the standard rifle companies. Well, you get reservists. These are reservists. You have an assault rifle, not that good RPG, and well, transport the most simple APC. Of course, rookie and trained options. This is for garrisoning, spamming, etc. This is a standard rifle unit of the Chinese. It comes in two different flavors, the Cat C1 and the Cat B1. This is actually available not just for Cat A, but also for Cat B, which is different from other nations who get Cat C infantry and then Cat A infantry. So the differences between both is, well, different assault rifle, different. They are actually different weapons in all categories. So it's a general across the board improvement. As for transports, well, the standard ones we have seen already with the BMP, but in this case we also have a Sita BD-90, which seems to be an infantry combat vehicle with a 25mm autocannon. Also very fast, both off and on the road. So yeah, those are the options for the standard rifleman. Now you have let's call it semi-elite infantry. As you can see, these are faster than the line infantry, and it doesn't show in the stats, but they have a bonus to the rate of fire. They also come in two different flavors, the Cat C1 and the Cat A1. As you can see, these are 90 units, so these are only available for Cat A. And well, the differences is again an across the board improvement of weapons. I'm actually going to pin this and compare it like this. So there you can see the difference between both of them. Also, the Veteran C is and availability are the same in both cars. Now let's see the transports. Transports are pretty much similar to the line infantry, but you have the option to bring in ME4s or ME8Ts as transport for them as well. So you can airborne these things. Finally, you have the elite units, which also come into flavors. So we are going to pin that. You can take a look at the differences. It's a big change. Actually, it totally changed. This is one of the instances where it changes the whole idea of the card. Because if you get a Cat C card of this, what you get is an SMG, a rocket for anti-tank, and a machine gun. But if you get a 90 flavor one, you get a different SMG, which is better. But you get a napalm thrower, which means that this unit can't do crap against tanks, but is deadly against infantry. So depending on which one of those you go with, one is going to be a more or less standard elite infantry, which is not really that good to be honest for being elite. Um, but it's all around, so you can get tanks with it. But if you go with the more evolved version, this is actually a Chinese version of the Spetsnaz, the Russian Spetsnaz. These things can't kill tanks, but they are deadly against infantry. So yeah, interesting choices there. Also, well, the available transport is the ME4 and the ME8. Now, let's see if we are forgetting something. Yeah, anti-tank. As for anti-tank infantry, the Chinese don't get any ATGM. They get I think this is a recoilless rifle, which is actually not that great against tanks, but I guess it's pretty decent against enemy APCs and IFVs. Units of 5, strength of 5, and they come in the very much standard set of transports the Chinese get. And engineer, yep, the flamethrowers. So yep, that's the infantry. Support. Okay. Let's start by the guns. They get two different flavor of self-propeller anti-aircraft. This is the Chinese version of the Sita Su 57, sorry, the Soviet one, with a twin 57 autocannon. Not that good accuracy, but well, still a nice all-rounder because you can use that also to suppress enemy infantry and even to shoot against APCs because it has well, not that good. It actually has no AP power, but they can really stun enemy APCs. Decent range for a not radar unit. Then you have the PGZ 95, sorry, which is a kind of a poor man's Tunguska, to be honest. It has a 25mm radar guided quadruple autocannon with a huge rate of fire, radar guided, by the way, with a huge accuracy, and also pretty nice on the move. And an AA air missile. So you can see here, very good accuracy, very good IT power. And one of the interesting things is that this is very good stabilizing. So this unit is really good on the move. So I'm guessing this will make for a good opener unit to be able to shoot on the move as it covers your advancing units. Next in line, we are going to see the missile units. This is, as you can see, work in progress. There's a little roundel here with the West German flag. This is actually Chinese, not West German, but whatever. This is very close to the German, East German FASTA. For actually up to 8 AA missiles with pretty good accuracy, decent range, but it's very fast, so makes for a very good opener unit to move very very quickly and also can shoot very well on the move because it has a stabilizer. So the only problem of course is that it's not a huge range and it's an armored, so anything will kill it very quickly. But for opening moves it's very very useful and very low cost. Also you can see, as always, you can see the availability and veterancy up here. Next, HQ7, which is basically a Chinese copy of the French Crotal. You only get one card of those, but they are really, really, really good units. Armored, very fast, very quick, both on the road and off the road. Infrared missiles with a huge range against helicopters, very good range against planes, decent accuracy, good AC power. So this is a really powerful AA unit. As you can see, again, different veterancies. Finally, the HQ61, which is a truck with a long range big ass missiles, which seems like SA2s to me. Yeah, that seems like the guideline. They only come in twos. The vehicle itself is not as fast as others, still it's pretty fast. It's rather guided, not a huge accuracy, but pretty long range. So yeah, this is the long range missile unit. Now, mortars. You get two of them. A standard APC hull with an 82 millimeter mortar or a 120 millimeter mortar. Prices, of course, change accordingly to the weapon, but veterancy and availability remains pretty much the same. Next, tube artillery, howitzers. You get two of those. A 122 millimeter howitzer in a standard IPC hull, or a 152 millimeter howitzer in a standard tracked vehicle. You can see the stats and the availabilities. And finally, rocket artillery. So you have from the small armored APC with not that big range rockets, going up to trucks with longer range rockets in two different flavors, and finally the BM-24s, which are the same as the Soviet ones, with very huge range and amazing HE power. Yep, that's it. Next is tanks. Now, tanks. Let's start with the cheap tanks. You have two Type 59s. Well, actually, I'm going to hold on a second. I'm going to show them all. You start with the Zeta TQ 62s, which seems like I don't know. This actually seems more like tanks than anything else. But you can have a very cheap one, very spammable one, of course, which is not really good. But for spamming purposes, well, I guess the base is covered. I guess. You have a better gun in the second one, which is of course much more expensive. And finally, the end line for this Zeta TQ 62 with a 105 millimeter gun. And actually, this resembles like a decent tank and not a light tank. But yeah, those are the Zeta TQ 62s. I'm going to call them types, whatever. Type 63, which is kind of this is an amphibious tank, and it's kind of a mix versus a T-55 and a PT-66, 76, the Soviet amphibious vehicle. You can see that it has a rounded turret, is amphibious, and the stats, availability, etc. is very cheap, very spammable. Then you have, this is actually a very interesting unit. It's totally amphibious, as you can see. Doesn't have a whole lot of armor. Of course, makes sense because for an amphibious unit you can't make it really heavy. But it has a very good gun. It has Bastion missiles, ATGMs, at 40 cost, which is really surprising. This is a very powerful thing. And it's amphibious. So yeah, there you go. Now the Type 59s have three of those. The low-end version, 25 points, which is a plain T-55 with not that great of a gun, not that great of an armor, very cheap, very spammable. You have a Type 59 too, which changes the gun, makes it better, gives it better optics and better accuracy, and also changes the availability of. Oh no, the availability, yeah, changes on trained, but on hardened is mostly the same. And finally, the Type 59-2A, which improves the gun even more, improves the optics, improves the front armor, and yeah, of course, it's costlier. And finally, Zeta T Zeta 88. Very strong gun for its price. Not that great armor, decent optics. Yeah. Next is the Zeta T Zeta 85-2 with a heck of a gun for 75 points, long range gun, and yeah, not that big. Well, it's 12 armor, which is not bad, but especially what is attractive of this unit, I think, is the range. 2,275 meters is really long range for a tank of 75 points, of course. Next iteration increases the points, improves the stabilizer, improves the accuracy, the HE power, and actually swapping the gun. It actually has a 125mm gun, and also improves the armor. And the top of the line tank for the Chinese is a 125 point Zeta T Zeta 85 11M or 2M, which is a, let's compare it with the previous one. Improves the gun a lot, like really. AP power, it's an improvement across the board. Higher accuracy in the move, higher AC power, really improvement on that. Improves the front armor to 16, and it's even faster. So yep, that's the end line tank for the Chinese. Next, recon. Not a lot of options here. You have in what regards to ground units, you have a Jeep with very good optics, very fast. You have an armored APC with recon ability but only good optics, very fast. And an even better version, well, a different version of that with a 14mm machine gun, also still good optics only, not really good to be honest. It's curious that actually the best of the two, well, also, well, actually this one is medium, the other one is small, so probably that's why one is more expensive than the other. Recon infantry, Lie Hen or Lie Ren, with ME4s and ME8Ts as deploying options. Groups of 5, pretty much standard recon infantry. And an ME1 as a recon chopper with very good optics, very small. This is a very tiny, nice helicopter, to be honest. And with a huge availability, 6 choppers is a lot, believe me. You can spam these things. Also, it's not really expensive, so this is a pretty neat observation helicopter. So yeah, there you go, that's the recons. Now, vehicles. Let's... Fire support. To fire support, you have a recoilless rifle in a Jeep. Very cheap, very spammable, not really that great, but whatever, it's still there. And you have an support fire version of the T-34. As you can see, this is the hull of the T-34 with a different turret, which actually can develop as sort of made-up AJ unit, but it's mostly there to provide suppression for supporting your infantry. Which is armor, of course. Well, it doesn't have any top armor, as you can see, is open-topped. But yeah, it's very spammable and it's very cheap, so it's kind of a cheap version of the Afghansky, I think, the Soviet one. Next, flamethrower. A flamethrowing Type 59, which is pretty much the same gun as the cheap TP-59, but it adds a flamethrower. Very similar to the Tu-55 Soviet one. And finally, tank destroyer. And in this you have a big selection. Because, well, first of all you have the guns, tank destroyers. The first one of them is the SU-100, Not a lot to say about a unit that basically is a World War II SU-100. We all know this thing, don't we? Spammable, cheap, dirt cheap, to be honest. These things tend to be really cost effective, but on their own they are not that great. But if you spam these things, they can really surprise someone. Anti-tank version of the Type 59, and if you are wondering why is this a vehicle and not a tank, it's actually got a 120 mm gun for 40 points. This actually might go into the tank category, but still, it's a tank destroyer, it's classified as such, and it comes in the vehicle category. So you might get yet another tank. And the PT-89, which is a tiny tank destroyer with a heck of a gun for 60 points, but it gets no stabilizer at all. This is a static defense and very poor armor. So it's kind of a glass cannon, very powerful gun, decent accuracy, long range, very cost effective, but you don't want to be assaulted with this. This is actually to defend zones. And those are the gunned versions of the anti-tank destroyers for the Chinese. Now let's see the ATGMs. You have an HJ8 ATGM in a Jeep. You can see the stats, and you are going to see the different versions as we go. This is a Malyutka version of the Soviet Chinese version of the Malyutka in a BDRM, and this is actually a BAB with HE8As, which is a better version of the previous one with longer range. And yet another version of the HE8 with a more standard APC unit. It's actually, and this is one of the things I'm telling you, this is not definitive. As you can see, this has this has a worse ATM than this one. But it's actually more expensive. Yeah, it has better armor, but this is faster, much faster, and has better ATMs. So probably we will see changes on the prices. But yeah, those are the vehicles for the Chinese. Let's move on to the helicopters. And in helicopters, we have very interesting decisions to make. You can go for a very cheap ATM helicopter, which is the SA-342 HOT, with HOT missiles, of course, 4 of them. Then you have ground support ME4 with a ton of 80mm rockets, and very cheap as well, 35 points. Then you can go for a gunship version of the Zeta 9A with twin 23mm for ground support and multipurpose. An ATGM version of the Zeta 9A with 4 ATGMs with long range, very high AP power. This is a very hard hitting missile. And finally, an anti-chopper, an anti-air version of the Zeta A9 with 8 anti-aircraft missiles, which by the way are really good in accuracy and have a lot of hitting power. So yeah, and they are also very quick. This is a very good hunter killer, to be honest, and makes initial helicopter assaults really viable for the Chinese, because with this unit you are going to destroy enemy choppers, and with this ATGM you can destroy enemy incoming tanks. And with this support unit, the only problem is that this one is really slow, but you can have a lot of rockets to support your assaults. So very interesting choice of helicopters. There's not one that you would look at and see that's really flexible on its own. That there are a lot of options here to have very decent choppers. And finally, the air. As I told you, Marines, I'm going to cover in a different video. J2, which is MiG-20, MiG-15. No, this is a MiG-17. Yeah, this is a MiG-17. MiG-17 with napalm bombs and, well, the standard cannons, pretty cheap, very cost effective. You have 4 different versions of the MiG-21, sorry. I'm guessing these are the standard MiG-21s and these are the versions for the BIS version of the MiG-21. The J-7. One of them with one 500 kilogram bomb, general purpose. The other with a 1000 general purpose bomb, of course with infrared missiles. These are for ground strike. These are more dedicated units for fighter. Only a couple missiles, not really good missiles as well, but they are cheap. The J-82B. Honestly, looking at this, I think this is the Chinese version of the Su-15 Flagon, because it looks really similar. Anyway, you have 2 options with those, 80 points and 95 points, with different infrared missiles and different ACMs as well. You can see now here the ACM rating. And yeah, next you have the JH-7A, which is a SEAD plane, has 4 AA missiles, but really 180 points and just 1 per card. You don't want to be fighting a lot with this thing. But still has self-protection ability, which is decent, I guess. But 4 SEAD missiles, and very good missiles at that. Long range, good accuracy, high HC power and AP power. So yeah, this is a really good SEAD. Has an ACM of 40, which is not really exceptional. I mean, for ACM for SEAD planes, there are planes that have up to 60%, but 40% is still nothing bad. And yeah, also it's medium stealth, which is pretty nice. So yep, SEAD. Now ground attack, we have the Q5 in different flavors: rocket assault, cluster bombs, and laser guided bombs, general purpose, with a little bit extra ACM. So well, different roles with basically the same plane. The only change is probably the ACM and the fact that the last one is a prototype. But yeah, those are the Q5 planes. And finally, the air superiority fighter, which is an Su-27SK with semi-active long-range missiles, fire and forget short-range missiles, and a cannon, pretty decent speed, etc. This is a very good Su-27. So yeah, those are the air units for the Chinese. And that's it for this review. That's it for this deck overview. I hope you enjoyed the ride. I hope you find these units interesting. Let me know which deck are you interested in watching next, and I will try to make a video on that. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and see you later.
When life's a little easy, the stress from the world outside, every longer will be alright.